Hi, welcome to another edition of Tuesday Pulse AI. I'm Chuck Boyce with CB Creative, and today we're going to be talking about, now that you're using AI, where are your blind spots? So, you bought the tools, you're getting some value, but you probably have no idea what it's actually costing you or what's at risk. I run two tracks for these sessions. The first one is the A track, which tends to be tools to be aware of, and B, which is how to use AI in your business. This is one of the B tracks, and we're going to talk about what the actual costs and what breaks quietly and what responsible AI looks like at your size. If you don't have an IT department or a compliance team, that's fine. You really don't need one. You need a simple operating model. That's what today is all about. If you're using AI already, this session is for you, but if you've crossed that adoption threshold, now the question is whether you're managing it effectively. If you're still trying to figure out AI, you can still hang out here. You'll learn something that will help you once you get into this. But before we get into governance, let's start with a quick audit. Just 5 questions and be honest. All right. Go over these questions, drop a yes or no in the chat for each one of these. Question number 1, your tool inventory. Can you name all the AI tools in use? Not just Claude or ChatGPT, I mean all of them. The Zapier automations or the Make automations. The writing tool like Grammarly that somebody started using. The meeting note taker that everybody seems to be using nowadays. Most teams, when they actually list everything, they find at least 1 or 2 tools that they are still charging or they forgot they're using, but it's still on being billed for because those subscriptions are inexpensive, $20 here, $30 here, but they do add up. Number 2, written statements of or standard operating procedures. Sorry about that. Do you have them? Most don't. Have a general idea of how it works, a written, findable document that any new hire could follow. That's always mostly a no. The first thing that bites when somebody leaves is that tribal knowledge in their head. They knew how to do it. Everybody assumed they know how to do it, but when they're gone, nobody really does it effectively. Once it's documented, that solves that problem. Number 3 is your output review. Who is your AI champion? That's really important because who checks the AI when something goes wrong before it goes out to the client? If it depends, or it's usually a person who generated it, that's not a review process, that's optimism. You do need to have somebody to manage and maintain the AIs that you're using. Number 4 is your actual spend. Do you know how much these tools are really costing you? Goes to the first question. Subscription line is easy. The number also includes API usage if you're using Zapier or Make, token coverage, overage, usage plans, data. There's all of those hidden costs that get added on, and most people don't budget for them. They don't follow them. They just see a bill and say, more AI charges. The last one, question 5, are your data terms. Have you read these terms? Do you understand where the data is going? This one gets uncomfortable because most people have not read them. That's long and opaque and hard to understand, but some of these entry tier and free tools have terms that allow them to use your input for training. If you're putting client in contracts or internal memos or strategy documents, that could be used for training. Make sure you understand where those terms are and how to disable them if it's possible. So we know where the gaps are. Now let's talk about what the gaps are costing you, because most of this doesn't announce itself. So you have the tools, you're probably missing. Here's where you want to start. The process gap. The process gap is the most common. Somebody on your team figured out a good way to use AI for a specific task. Could be in their chat history. When they leave or go on vacation, that knowledge leaves with them. Takes you a few weeks to reconstruct, even if somebody is still on your team. That one really good chat that came up with a great answer is buried in their history. It's not documented. Documentation solves a lot of this. The data gap. Most owners think about AI what the outcome is, but nobody thinks about what they're feeding it. The inputs determine all of your accuracy, your privacy exposure, your liabilities. If something goes wrong, you need to reconstruct what happens. You need to know what went in. Right now, most teams can't do that. The data is scattered. You have it in your CRM, your email contact list, could be in your Notion or Slack. Data is scattered. Not a good thing for AI reliability. And then we get to the people gap. Everyone is responsible is another way of saying nobody's responsible. What happens in practice? The prompt quality drifts. The context files get stale. Nobody updates the instructions when the business changes. If you've seen quality drop from 90 days just from prompt drift because nobody noticed it. So that drift happens when your business updates. If you change a policy, but the AI context has not been updated to reflect those policy changes, your data starts drifting. Your results are not accurate because nobody's maintaining those context files or prompts. Again, that goes back to the people person. Have somebody responsible for that AI. Then you have your cost gap. Subscription is just one number. If you're using connected tools like Zapier or Make, they use API calls. APIs are charging per token. If somebody is not reviewing these limits, if you don't have caps, your spend could go 40 to 60% higher than what the subscription cost shows. Don't be surprised when I started vibe coding my first month. I had a $47 plan. I thought, great, this is cool. Started doing stuff. I got the bill and it was $350 because I didn't know what those hidden costs were going to be. Had to find out, you had to pause certain things, you have to stop them if you're not using them. Just because they were sitting there not being used, they were still occurring data charges. You have a compliance gap. This one is especially with the free and entry tier versions. Teams that allow them to use their inputs to improve the models. So if you don't understand what your data training is going to be within these tools, if you put, again, client information, financial information, strategy docs, any of those things could be used for these companies for training, and the next thing you know, you have these data leaks. So here's things most advisors won't tell you. If you're missing any of these 5 gates, you're still shopping for tools, stop shopping. Every tool you add to a broken foundation makes it harder to fix. So fix the things first before you invest in AI. AI can be wonderful if you have the foundation set. Next, here are the things that don't announce themselves, and I've already talked about them. The prompt drift is where your tools are shaped by the context and the prompts, the instructions you give it, the background information you've noticed. They have a shelf life. If your business changes, your context and your prompts have to change with it. Often doesn't happen. That drift happens. Make sure you have somebody and a process to monitor and maintain these context files and prompts. Cost creep, talked about it. It's when you start adding more and more and you start doing the API calls. You have a $40 tool, goes to $180 a month, you wonder where, but monitor where those API calls are going to and from and what your token usage is. Monthly reviews are something that you have to get used to. This is a new world with AI. There's all these different things that you just have to adapt to. Data exposure, I mentioned again, somebody's using a free tool that doesn't know, also referred to as shadow AI. Somebody has their own personal, if you have a company version of Claude or ChatGPT and you want people to do that, you can lock some of those things down. But if somebody brings in their personal copy and starts dumping client data in and they don't understand the exposure risks, that is a bad thing. And so you have to be aware of where AI is being used by who and make sure that it is company-based and not personal-based. So going into the next one, governance. So I don't mean a big binder with policies all over the place or we have monthly committee meeting. Just 4 decisions. You can make them all. Who owns it? Pick one person. Give them a title. Operations lead, AI point person, whatever fits your culture, and carve it into a couple of hours a week. That's a role. Somebody who is on your team, knows AI, loves AI, they like figuring things out. Make them the point person to manage, maintain these context files and your prompts. Number 2, where does it live? This is where you just have one document on a shared drive, Google Drive, Notion, Slack, a folder on your server. Just make sure that you have a tool log of which apps are being used and how you use them, a prompt library of your most successful prompts, what has been approved for use and what has been demoted. Keep a history of what has been used. Make sure you understand your terms and that everybody knows where they are. They're accessible by the proper people. It doesn't just live in one head, it lives in a system. And then when do you check it? Just block out a calendar, 15 minutes every month. Answer your basic questions. Did anything produce a bad output? Do we have to update it? Have we updated terms and conditions or context files if the business has changed? Where did we actually spend money? Did it change in any way? Did API start going crazy? There's all of these things. Make sure it just has a regularly scheduled 15 minutes every month to figure out where your AI is. And then what's off limits on that list, what can be put into the AI, what can't. Are there contacts, client data, transactions, financials? Just write it down, show what can be used, what's a good use, what's not a good use. So we go back into looking at it, same team, same tools, same budget, 2 very different states. In state A, this is where most teams are right now. It's not reckless, it's just unmanaged. 4 tools, nobody knows the full cost. You're thinking it's just the subscription. Your prompts are in each person's chat history. Sarah does her best prompts for one account, and then she loses where that really good prompt was. It's not documented. Mike has his. Either of them leaves. They have slightly different versions, different outputs. The client starts asking, what happened to the quality of your prompts? I mean, your output, because the prompts are not consistent. And then they're just not reviewed. And so you have scattered data, scattered tool use. That's state A. Go to state B, same team, same tools, same budget. The only difference is structure. You have one shared document with every tool, every task, every cost. Prompts are in a shared folder. One person does the whole thing. Data terms have been reviewed. There's a 15-minute calendar block every month to check everything. Output quality is higher, risk is lower, and critically, when something goes wrong, there's an owner and a process to fix it. So the difference isn't the tools, it's the operating model. So the AI log, again, very simple. This is your first component. Make it a shared Google Sheet or a shared Excel, whatever works for you. It takes about 20 minutes to build the first time, depending on how many tools you have, but it's very simple. Team has 4 tools. They know the subscription cost is about $106. It feels manageable. But look at what happens when we add the API usage on Zapier, because Mike connected that to OpenAI. All of those calls cost money. It's $18. That doesn't show up on a single subscription line. Number gets really people is the staff review time. How much each person is paid a salary. They have a loaded rate. And so, for example, 3 hours a week, $45 an hour, $135, 4 weeks, $540 a month in labor. So you have your subscription cost plus your $18 API cost. Your tools are costing you $124. Your labor is $540, and so your total operating cost is actually $665 or $664. But your subscription, you look at the line item, and it's only $124. So where'd that other $500 come from? It adds up quickly. So again, show you an example. Here is a Google spreadsheet. Very simple. You list your tool, your approved use, who the users are, what your costs are going to be. Simple spreadsheet, shared document, everybody knows where it is, very easy to maintain. So, moving on, the prompt library. Now, this is where all your work lives. This is a very simple spreadsheet that you can keep instead of keeping it in someone's chat history and trying to search for the right prompt, because, of course, if you used AI, ChatGPT, or Claude, the name of your conversation rarely reflects what it actually does. It's the very first thing that you start with, and so after a few iterations, the prompt may be completely different, but you didn't rename it, so it's difficult to find in your history. So now, if you create a great prompt, has great output, and suddenly that person goes on vacation, you don't have access to their history, you don't know where the prompt is, you don't have access to it. So what you do is you create a library, again, a shared file, put all your prompts, all your AI documents into one subfolder that has your prompts, your log, and whatever else you're tracking with AI. But again, you just enter in the 3 levels of what the task is, who approved it, one note to break, what tends to break it. If you use this consistently, I'll jump over to another spreadsheet here. Here is simple spreadsheet. You have the prompt text. Your marketing strategist based on the following product details. So draft a 500-word blog post. This is a blog post for drafting. It was approved by Sarah on the 10th of February. And here's where it tends to break. Very simple. Keep this. Your AI champion is going to be maintaining this. But again, everybody has a description. However this works for you, the best way could be in a Notion database. It could be in a spreadsheet, whatever works for your business. It's something that is very valuable to have. Again, keep what's active, what's in draft, and what has been retired. You have a history of where replaced or deprecated, shows what worked, what was learned, and how it was improved. Next, we'll go into the monthly review again and the point person. So the monthly review, like I said, just do 15 minutes. It's not a 2-hour, it's not a big agenda, it's not slide decks, it's just 15 minutes. What changed? What was good? What was bad? What are we being billed? All of those line items reviewed in 15 minutes. Great thing to do. That one point person, a couple hours a week, probably already on your team, one who's the AI person who loves the idea, give them a title, give them the responsibility, give them a raise. But they own the log, they own the prompt library, they own the monthly review. One owner, 3 things, 15 minutes a month. That's it. Next, we go into how to do this in 30 days. Week 0, which is just your setup, and this is the first thing that you really need to do, is pick your shared library. Is it going to be Drive? Is it going to be Notion? It's going to be a server folder, but you have your prompts, your tools, your reviews. Done. Once that structure is created, you have your templates for each of those tools, and then you just start listing every tool, listing every task, every person. Most teams forget about subscriptions or the API usage. Document that in week 1. That's your first audit. Week 2, you start assigning the people. You write 2 standard operating procedures of your highest volume AI tasks. They don't have to be perfect, but just start writing it down, modify as you go on, improve it as time goes on. Read the data terms of your top 3 tools. Calendar time to do it. That's your people and processes. Next, you start building your prompt library. Take your best 5 to 10 prompts. Are they active? Are they draft? Again, it's a shared folder. Everybody knows where it is. That's where you start building your useful library. And then you have your cadence. That 1 week, 15 minutes, just block it off. Follow up on all of them. Any new tools, any updates to the process, any change in your personnel. Are you updating your prompt library? Just make that systematic, and you will be in a much better place. Going on, Here's where you can score yourself right now. Just honestly go through each of these and be honest. Number one, your process and standard operating procedures. Is it just tribal knowledge, or is it fully documented and tested, or in between? Give yourself a 1, 2, or 3. Next, go to your data. Is your data scattered? Do you have it in your CRM, your email contacts, your Notion, somewhere else? There could be scattered data. Make sure that it's clean enough to query. It's in a standardized, single, authoritative place. That's the difference between a 1 and a 3. Go to your point person. No one assigned? Give it a 1. If you've actually defined a role and carved time out for them, you're a 3. So anywhere in between the two. Compliance. Do you know the terms of all the apps you're using? Has it been fully reviewed and documented? That's the differences there. Your cost models. Do you only track your subscriptions, or are you doing a full cost model? Score yourself. If you're 10 to 15, great. You're in solid footing. Should be very understanding about how AI fits in your business. If you're in the midpoint, you can start trying pilots, experimenting with bigger tools other than your ChatGPT and your Claude. That's a good experimental point, but again, before the foundation is set, don't go into production. But if you're under 6, fix the foundation first. It's easy to do, set up. Once it's done, you're in a much better shape to implement a larger scale AI project. So next we'll go into where you can get help. So the first thing is I have a couple of AI readiness checks that you can do. First one is check, which just goes over the 5 blind spots and has you rate where you stand on the blind spots. If you have a particular process that you're thinking of automating, the assessment at cbcreative.com is a little more in-depth. It starts with 4 questions about the process, what your expectations are, what it currently does, and then it goes through 25 questions. So the check takes about 3-4 minutes. The assessment takes about 20 minutes. Both are free. I highly recommend seeing where you are. After that, you can set up an appointment, call, set up, here's a contact list. And then if you want to go the next step, do a full diagnostic report, a 90-minute meeting that helps you document in depth where you currently are with a roadmap to future projects. So that's how you can get started today. Here's again, any questions, pushback, reductions, however you want to do this. Take the readiness checks, book a conversation, continue on with these Tuesday sessions. I do have some resources available for you. If you also look, I'll show you really quickly. I have the readiness scorecard, which is just something you can print out. Gives you a way to do a quick readiness check offline. The 5 blind spots are the various questions that you can answer in each of the 5. Once you answer these, it will give you a score. If you want to go a little more in depth, here is the risk analysis of the assessment check. All of those are available to you, free. If you have any questions, follow up. That is it for today. The next few sessions are going to be covering prompt engineering and context engineering. I think it'll be very advantageous for you if you're interested in those. Those are the next 2 sessions. So on that, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording. So thank you very much.